I mentioned how Scott and or Buddy kind of used this down season, quote unquote, to learn new workflows. But on a production side, did the lack of fans allow you to be a little bit more riskier or bolder with some elements, or did you kind of stay the same? Because I'm not trying to say you guys are all professional. I'm not trying to say you're going to make mistakes and no one's going to see it. But with the limited amount of space that you had, and the only people that you're entertaining are the people playing a game, where you're just like, hey, screw it, we're just going to try this and see if it works. If it sticks, we'll keep it. If not, now we know it doesn't work. Was that kind of how it worked? Katie, I'll go to you first. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you were the first person I saw, so you'll go first.
So I kind of alluded to it already. With the new
Right.
arena, we looked at it as a practice year for us. So we worked out a lot of the kinks. We did try a few things that we maybe would have been a little more scared to do with putting video in a couple different spots. But really where we found success was with staffing. I ended up having to put people on camera that had never touched camera before. I had to teach replay on a much shorter time frame than normal, and the same with directors. And that sounds really scary, and it was really scary. But having only 250 people out there, it kind of took the pressure off. And my people actually came back to me after the fact and said, hey, you know, knowing there was only 250 people out there allowed me to focus on my job and not be afraid of making a mistake. So that's kind of where we found benefit with that.
Tyler, you might have brought it up before, but it was kind of the same thing for you because you're minimizing a small crew and you had to, put people in different positions. Is that kind of how it was for you guys?
Yeah. Well, we also maybe this is just how I perceived it, but I felt an enormous amount of pressure just because we hadn't had a stadium for 10 years, and this was the moment we've all been waiting for. And then we had students that didn't know how to run a replay or how to zoom in all the way and didn't know what a double, or like things that you're just like, oh, okay, this is going to be a lot more difficult than I was anticipating.
Right.
And then just also reminding them that it is a big moment and that they're in control of it. In a sense, they're in control of it, and that our job is to make people have fun and provide that entertainment. And it's a pretty cool moment I told them, I said, it's a pretty cool thing that a lot of people have been waiting for years to be at this game, and a lot of people couldn't come, and you're going to be on the sideline filming. So have fun with it, enjoy it, take a moment, take it in, and then let's push the envelope. Let's not do it live for the first time, but I would, on the back end, I'd be like, hey, try this for a quarter. Let me know when you got it, and then we'll see what we can put it in there.
Right.
And I've learned that with students, that will kind of get the ease off, and then they'll start to have fun. They'll take more risks. As far as a show standpoint, we kind of the whole year was kind of weird in a sense that we weren't ever really sure what we were allowed to do or could do, and we were kind of testing water. So we would kind of find what worked, stuck with it, and then slowly add things in. And we found that works better. But there's definitely that moment of where you kind of sit back and you're like, okay, this is it. Let's have some fun. Let's kind of push the envelope. Let's feel the energy. That's a big thing. Like with the crowd being a lot louder, you could feel. I got goosebumps a couple of times, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember what this is like. Let's kind of feed off this.
Awesome. Scott, my question to you is, did you shoot the 3 from the parking lot, or in the fall, are you keeping a bullet in the chamber, or did you kind of let the dogs out to eat even though fans weren't there?
No, we actually were a very skeleton crew, especially with some of our basketball specifically, because the board's is center hung, and so they're all playing underneath the board. So why waste the bullet and try to do something creative when at that point there's no one in there and no one's actually able to really see much. So we kind of were very, very dry in that regards. Football, obviously, we did a lot more testing. Players and coaches can kind of see it. So it was more for them than anything. And again, we were trying to figure it out. We actually ended up doing a lot more live streams and live broadcasts than we've done because of multiple sports and being able to try and put more effort there because we didn't have an in venue. So our target focus was actually more live streams this year than and put more emphasis on that because of the in venue was no one there to really see it except for people working.
Okay, so there's more to come, and that's what we call in the business a tease. So
Exactly.
stay tuned for more from Scott in Oregon. Buddy, what about you, man?
Yeah, for us, it was we always were still doing our shows. So I mean, I feel like we never really changed. If anything, we were just splitting, football wise, like I said before, we were just splitting our resources. And I think one thing that we missed out on is we do a lot of our training. We have all students. We don't, have any freelancers. We are completely our full-time staff and our students, they run everything. So we lose that time in the spring during COVID, early March. We use baseball and softball as like our training season. We hire our biggest amount of students in January, and that's like their first start is, all right, you're doing baseball and softball games every day. We teach you how to run your cameras. We lost a lot of that training. So a lot of our seniors graduated, and then we had a bunch of pretty green people, and we're doing 2 football games instead of 1. So it kind of turned into, that was more of where our resources were sent, is like, we got to get some of these camera ops and some of these graphics and replay people up to speed, because they're going to be doing, maybe be doing a big screen football show, which they may have to work for a year and a half to get to that point. Now they're doing it now because we had to put people on the football broadcast. So that was probably our biggest change, was a little bit different. I would say that another thing that we haven't really mentioned in this at all that was a big deal was, how do you make your sponsors happy?
Right, sponsorship.
Your sponsors, we still have content. We're still making that content, but they know that there's only 25% of the eyeballs that are seeing their content. That normally would have been, 25% as opposed to the hundreds. So how do you make them happy? Put a lot more of our stuff on social. We put a lot more stuff out, our intros and stuff that we would normally save. We put that stuff out too. And then we try to add new things into our system that would allow fans to get more sponsor eyes and as well as help them. We started using the Piero from Ross, and we used that to actually put a sponsor logo on during the game. But for our 1st and 10 line. So that's a good place where our game day sponsor could live. And now they're on the board the whole time. Now they're happy. They may not have gotten as much, but they haven't just got as many eyeballs, but they got more people, more eyeballs on it, because they got so much more stuff during the game. So I think trying to figure some of that stuff out for us was pretty important, because you need your sponsors to stay happy, and we needed them to stay sponsors.